Good evening, my friends. Welcome. We're back here for another episode of Breaking the Law with Eddie Law on this February 1st evening. At least for those of us in the United States. At least most of us. Shout out to my little brother, my younger brother, who turns 27 today. Yeah, it's always weird when your younger siblings get older because as they get older, they're kind of just catching up to you age-wise. Like, yeah, not age-wise, I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but, happy birthday, Leo. Hope you enjoyed your day, my friend. Anyway, I am your host, Eddie Law. If this is your first time listening to the show, I appreciate you tuning in. This is an all-sports show where we talk about anything and everything, from football to MMA to basketball, everything in between. Also adding some baseball and wrestling. Actually, collegiate wrestling has been requested, so I might actually take a shot at that. Maybe some Olympic wrestling talking and all that. Rugby, everything. I've gotten so many requests of what sports to talk about that I've actually got to basically teach myself about all these sports. So this is going to be a fun show. It's going to be fun to watch the evolution of this show. Anyway, as always, I encourage you to reach out and contribute to the show. You can reach me on Twitter at ELAW31, that's ELAW31, on chat, on the little chat spot there on Spreaker.com and the Spreaker app, and on the BTL line at 602-903-3906. You can talk about anything you want to talk about. On today's show, the Arizona Diamondbacks are making some moves. Duke is no longer ranked, and a shakeup in the MMA world. But first, I was going around on Twitter, and it's funny because my buddy Joker called me out on it immediately. Because I tweeted out that I'm tired of the politics stuff, right? But it just, he goes, yeah, we heard this, quite a few times already, and it's true. I say it all the time, but somehow it just sucks me back in. I don't know what it is about politics. It gets me to just go back. It's ridiculous. So tonight was the I don't know what you call these exactly, but basically it was Ted Cruz against Donald Trump. And Ted Cruz beats Donald Trump for what's it called? For the what do they call this thing exactly? The Republican caucus in Iowa. First of all, people that run politics and run elections, you got to change the names of this stuff. And caucus. No one ever uses that word ever. That word is only used with people like you guys that, we got to change this word and make it sound like it. Make it impossible sounding. Make it sound like it's something so complex and complicated that they won't understand it when it really is it's just dumb. It's nothing. You basically just you're basically just the nominee for that state. Although Iowa somehow always ends up being like the most battled state of all. On the other hand, or on the other side of the aisle there, I think Hillary's leading Bernie Sanders barely, and O'Malley's getting mauled. That dude needs to quit. For sure, after tonight, that dude's dropping out of the race. He's not going to be running for president no more. So we'll be down to Hillary Clinton against Bernie Sanders. But the fact that Trump lost is wild to me. Because, look, in my opinion, Trump and Cruz are both crazy. But I always thought Cruz was just a little more crazy than Trump. Apparently, I was wrong. Even Republicans think that Trump is a little too much, so they went with Cruz. Good for you. It's always weird. It's a weird thing. It really is. Especially when we talk about politics. Look, politics is not a fun thing to try and understand at all. Right? We all have to deal with politics. Politics at work. Politics with your maybe not you. I don't know. Maybe you don't call them friends. Politics within your own family. With your extended family at least. And then there's politics in sports as well. Look, let's look at this first story here. The Phoenix Suns fired head coach Jeff Hornacek today. And as soon as I heard the news, I was wondering why. Well, what's the point? It's like, yeah, okay, they lost, something like 14 out of 20 games, and they've lost a whole lot of road games. But you got to look at the team. That team is not put together to win. It's not. Let's go back a little bit to the start of the season. In fact, to the offseason. Who was the biggest prize in the offseason for the NBA anyway? LaMarcus Aldridge. Power forward out of out of Texas. He's a multiple-time All-Star with the Portland Trail Blazers. He has a mid-range shot. Actually, he has a three-point shot now, if I'm not mistaken. But he has a mid-range shot. He has a good post game. He can rebound. He can defend all right in the post. But he was a prize, right? So what did the Suns do? The Suns traded away Marcus Morris, which started a whole lot of drama with both Morris brothers, by the way, in order to make cap space to sign one Tyson Chandler, an aging center, but a guy that can still, he still protects the paint, gets blocks, gets rebounds, not a scorer in the least. He's a cleanup guy. But the whole reason for him to be there is to anchor the defense and get rebounds. Well, they signed him in order to try and get LaMarcus Aldridge to sign with the Suns. Of course, I guess insiders used to talk all the time about how Aldridge and Chandler have been wanting to play together forever. So when the Suns signed Chandler, they thought, oh, for sure we have the in on Aldridge, right? Wrong. Of course, as we now know, the San Antonio Spurs had the real in on him and signed him to a long-term contract. So now this is where we are now. Now the Suns lost point guard Eric Bledsoe not too long ago for the season. I believe it was a knee injury. So they just don't have a team that's going to win any games, and they know that. They should know that. But they fire Hornacek today. Here's my theory. Now, so we're talking about politics, right? Who put this team together? The front office, the general manager, McDonough. Right? McDonough came from. He's one of Danny Ainge's guys from Boston. So everyone thought, oh, for sure, this guy knows how to build a team, right? So he takes the gamble on Chandler, misses out on Aldridge. Trades away Marcus Morris, gets Markieff Morris, his twin brother, all upset. Markieff Morris becomes what they call a cancer in the locker room, and then Eric Bledsoe gets hurt. So you're talking about a team that's definitely not even prepared to compete, to be competitive. It's hard for me to understand their move, other than they're making a move in order to make a move, right? They made a move in order to just do something. First of all, it was very, very clear the players were no longer responding to Hornacek anymore. So it kind of makes sense in that aspect of it. But if they're so bad already, what's the point? They're 14-35. We're about to go into the All-Star break here in February. Okay, with Brandon Knight, the point guard, leading in two categories: assists per game, which is 5.1, which in the Phoenix Suns type of offense, 5.1 assists from your point guard is not going to do it. He's averaging 19.7 points a game. Again, you don't really want your point guard to be your leading scorer. If possible, you want him to have more assists, or you want him to be more balanced, right? You got Tyson Chandler. Of course, Tyson Chandler should be leading in rebounds. He has like 8.4 a game or something like that. But here's your starting lineup for the Suns. Brandon Knight, who has unfortunately been victim to many, and I mean many, post errors. We all seen the Andre Drummond dunk on him, and a few other guys have been dunking on Brandon Knight. Then you have rookie Devin Booker, who has been a very surprising, a positive surprise, very pleasant surprise as far as his rookie year goes, doing really well. I'm a big fan of this kid. Hopefully the Suns don't do what they normally do and trade away all the good players, all the good young players. The Suns just have a history of trading away good players, and we always get back some garbage. PJ Tucker's still starting a small forward. He's a defensive guy. Honestly, you're not starting Sonny Weems or TJ Warren over him. Tyson Chandler's in the center spot with Alex Len backing him up, and then Markieff Morris is in the power forward spot. Markieff has been a problem the entire season. He's upset still that his brother got traded away, and so he's kind of it's a problem to have a cancer in the locker room like him. So they fire Hornacek today to just do something. This is the front office basically covering their butts because they're losing, and the team was put together by them. Now, am I saying that the general manager should be fired? No. Am I saying everyone in the front office should be fired? No. I am saying definitely wait till the end of the season to make that move. Because they fired him, and who did they bring in? Assistant coach, Suns assistant coach, but assistant coach Earl Watson. Does anyone remember? I'm sure Suns fans remember, but a few years ago, Terry Porter was hired to be the head coach of the Phoenix Suns. After he got fired halfway through the season, the Suns, by the way, have a pattern of doing that. After he got fired halfway through the season, they put in Lindsey Hunter as interim coach, and that team was awful. Why would you expect this to go any different? So, my opinion, Suns should have kept, held on to Hornacek for the rest of the season, and then make a move in the offseason, see who's available out there to hire. Because now that, the Hornacek is not the first coach or the second coach or even the third coach to get fired halfway through the season by Phoenix. So now other coaches are going to be looking at this. Any coach worth anything that goes into the offseason without a job is going to be looking at the situation like, if I don't win right away or if I don't do enough, they're going to fire me halfway through. What's the point? Now, mind you, I think they did Hornacek a favor because he looked depressed every day. That dude might have been just relieved that it's over. He'll take whatever, millions they ended up buying him out with and just go on vacation and not have to deal with just an awful situation. So now Earl Watson's the interim coach, and they're not going to get any better. They're just not. By the way, I was laughing at that report that Robert Sarver, Suns owner who's, he's just made his team awful. He really has. First, he started off with the whole, I don't want to spend money at all. I want to have, the lowest salary and still win games and win a title. And now he's like, okay, I'll spend the money, but I'm gonna let you guys spend it on awful moves. Like it's ridiculous. So I was laughing when reports came out that Robert Sarver is interested in Steve Nash, former Suns great Steve Nash, for the head coaching vacancy. The funny thing is Steve Nash is not interested at all in being a head coach right now. As we all know, he's what they call an advisor, part-time advisor for the Golden State Warriors, specifically for one Steph Curry. And we've actually seen it pay off. The way Steph Curry gets in the lane and kicks the ball out, we always saw Nash do that all the time, get in the lane, to kick the ball back out, use his dribble or use his handles to keep the dribble alive, to find either a shot or a pass. I mean, it's very Steve Nash-like. So Sarver wanted to hire Steve Nash to be the head coach. Nash doesn't need a coach. He's got plenty of money. I don't think he's going to want to coach for at least a couple more years, maybe longer. I thought for sure the move would be to try and hire Mike D'Antoni away from the Philadelphia 76ers, but I don't think D'Antoni would ever come back here. Not to coach for Robert Sarver. So Nash is not interested whatsoever. So now we're going to have this kind of joke of a second half season. Where honestly the worst thing would be if these players ended up playing real well second half and they made Earl Watson the full-time head coach. I don't see that happening at all. But if it did, that would suck, honestly. There's got to be better coaches out there during the offseason, for sure. And, you just hope. I don't know. I'm a Suns fan. I really hope they do something about this and bring in a legitimate coach, someone that could actually bring up a young team. Someone that'll look at Devin Booker and give him the ball. Someone that'll look at Brandon Knight and be like, all right, you got to find a way to get the ball, to shooters. Because as good as Brandon Knight is, that guy's a shooter. He's basically a shooting guard. So is Bledsoe, by the way. Bledsoe's not a legitimate point guard. That guy's a two guard, a shooting guard. That guy's there to score. So there's a lot of moves. The Suns are a mess, and it's going to be just another rest of the season is going to be just very depressing here in Phoenix. Watching our Suns battle, and honestly, that's all we really want. As the Suns fans, all we really want is a team that puts in effort and tries to win games. But I've seen so many games where the Suns the players just kind of give up, or it seems like they give up. I just can't watch that team. I just stopped watching. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. Starting off, I believe their first game is tomorrow night against Toronto. So we'll see Earl Watson's head coaching debut. But I got to say, I'm not expecting much at all. I'll talk about some football here. Does anybody watch the Pro Bowl anymore? I read somewhere that it got a rating of a 5, which is down it's down pretty good, like a good 30%, I think, from last Pro Bowl. There's really no reason to have the Pro Bowl anymore. There's no reason to go in there and get hurt. The last time the Pro Bowl was exciting was, rest in peace, Sean Taylor. But when Sean Taylor was still playing, he was laying dudes out in the Pro Bowl game. And he was upsetting a lot of players because he was hitting people hard. Ed Reed saw him do it. He's like, all right, I guess I'll do it too. And he started smacking dudes around. That's the last time that the Pro Bowl was fun. But it's no longer fun anymore. Now it's just a vacation for players and coaches and all that. And there was coaches that refused to coach it. And a bunch of players refused to go. Only 2 Cardinals players went. Calais Campbell and Justin Bethel went. I'm not even sure what Calais Campbell went. That dude should have been, relaxing and recovering so they can make another run next season when the Cardinals are back in it. And the other big news. Okay, it's not really big news. The Raiders are not looking into Las Vegas. First of all, the Raiders are now going to try and work with Oakland, the city of Oakland, to stay there for at least 2016. All right. The Chargers are making a similar move. The Chargers have already said they're going to stay in San Diego for at least one more season. 1 to 2 seasons, which is good. Hopefully they figure something out and they can keep that team in San Diego because the Chargers are a San Diego team. You just leave them there. Don't mess with that. But the Raiders are looking at San Antonio. They're looking at the Vegas now. And but they're trying to stay in Oakland for at least one more season so they make the right move or a smart move. Or they get the city to help them build a new stadium in Oakland. Which would be interesting. And finally, in NFL news, Calvin Johnson retires. Anyone that knows football knows Calvin Johnson, Megatron, one of the best wide receivers to play the game. Not, I want to say ever, but definitely in the last 8-9 years. And it's a weird. Look, a lot of people get upset because guys retire early. I'm happy for him. I support Calvin Johnson retiring early. 9 seasons where Calvin Johnson was a monster, and everyone was saying, "Oh, he's not a Hall of Famer yet. He's not a Hall of Famer. He's not one of the best ever." But he's a guy that is walking away on his own terms. He's a guy that's made the decision to walk away. The guy's had multiple ankle injuries. His body has been just beat up. He's a big guy that moves real well. He's the size of a tight end. And he was, moving like a wide receiver, outrunning guys and everything, getting smacked around real hard, double teamed, beat up. Just hammered over and over again. The guy just made a smart choice. Said, "Look, I want to be able to have a good life later on. I've had enough money. I'm going to go ahead and walk away now." The question becomes, can he, walk away and stay away, Because already the talk is already going, people saying Calvin Johnson's not a Hall of Famer. People saying Calvin Johnson's not one of the best ever, not one of the best receivers ever. If that doesn't bother him, all that talk, then he's good to go. But I just don't know how you can be a competitive person and not have that bother you a little bit. It's really rough. Mind you, Detroit Lions have never really made a great move, so it's not like they're surrounding him with the best talent ever. They got a Matthew Stafford and all that, and they have Matthew Stafford there, they have Calvin and all that, but they couldn't get him a decent defense, and they definitely couldn't get an O-line to protect Matthew Stafford. Stafford gets beat up all the time. And still will, by the way. That O-line's not going to get any better, not for another season or two. Let's make some big signings and get real lucky in the draft. I just don't see them getting any better and protecting Matthew Stafford any better either. If anyone's wondering right now, they actually have Super Bowl Media Day, and you can actually watch it on television. It's become its thing now. Media Night for Super Bowl 50. Going on right now in San Jose, California. They've been asking Peyton Manning questions. They had Cam Newton. They were asking him questions. Cam Newton had him and all his teammates on the stage Luke Kuechly, Jonathan Stewart, Josh Norman was wearing a luchador mask, all that. So, every day it's getting more real that the Super Bowl is coming. Super Bowl is going to be this weekend. It's going to be. Look, I always enjoy the Super Bowl, but when my team's not in it, it's hard for me to care. It really is pretty impossible for me to care. And it's what it is. So just coming out right now, Martin O'Malley, Democratic candidate, reportedly suspending campaign following Iowa caucuses. Yeah, when you see that nobody likes you at all, it's you got to just basically quit. Everyone voted for the other two people, and you got 0.4% of the vote. You know what I mean? It's weird. I don't like either. I don't like any of the candidates that are running, to be honest with you. Any of them. On the left or the right. Most of my friends are Bernie Sanders people. Some are Rand Paul. Got a couple of people that support Hillary, but I don't know. I don't like any of them. To be honest with you, maybe it's just politics, but they all just seem like liars to me. All of them. So now we're saying, Bernie's going to do this, Bernie's going to do that. Yeah, okay, every other president said they're going to do something and they never actually do it. When was the last time we had a president actually do what they said they would do? I mean, Obama has done a few things he actually said he would do. No, thanks to Congress. Yeah, see, exactly. I try to get away from the politics talk and I go right back to it. This thing keeps sucking me in. I got to take a quick break here. Going to come back. We'll talk a tiny bit of baseball. Tiny bit of baseball. Some NCAA men's basketball. And then we'll take another break after that. And we'll talk, we'll get into the heavy MMA segment. A couple surprises happening this last weekend. A big surprise that happened today that was announced. And could definitely begin the tipping of competition between two, obviously the UFC and another big promotion. So we'll be right back here in a couple minutes. This is Breaking the Law with Eddie Law on Spreaker.com and Spreaker app. Be right back. Back here on Breaking the Law with Eddie Law on Spreaker app and Spreaker.com. Hit me up on Twitter at elaw31, on the chat, on the Spreaker app, and Spreaker.com as well. Or the BTL line, 602-903-3906. So I just read that, or I saw on Twitter that Marco Rubio came in third in the Iowa caucus race. And the dude gave a victory speech anyway. You just can't keep some people down. I always said that. I thought that he was the most. I still think he's the most electable of the Republicans. Cruz goes way too crazy. Trump is just a psycho. Rubio's got good ideas. You know, he seems more sane than the other those two idiots. The guy from, I think he's Ohio. No, not Ohio. Is he Ohio? I remember the other guy. Florina's okay, but she's got a weird past. I'll tell you that much. At least from what's been reported, which who knows? At this point, it might all be BS. You never know. It might all be lies. We might just be, look, we're all just playing this game. Every 4 years we play this game of I'm team so-and-so, and I'm team so-and-so, and F you for being team this, and F you for being team that, and my team's got to win. Yeah. No, it's all a joke. It's a game. It's a game. I forgot who I read or heard say this, but you know, they put guys in there like Trump in order to make us, accept who actually wins and ends up being president, so we don't complain too much about it. No, well, Obama won. Well, at least it's not John McCain. He was going to die anyway, which, by the way, I'm 100% convinced, had John McCain been president, he probably would have died like a year in, maybe 2 years in. Have you seen Obama's face and hair? That dude used to look young. And now, like, just 8 years later, he looks like he's almost dead. It's kind of crazy. He still works out a lot. But anyway, a little bit of baseball talk here. Very little. Diamondbacks trade for shortstop Jean Segura in a 5-player deal. He was a 25-year-old. He was an all-star in 2013. The Diamondbacks have been needing offense forever. They got that Greinke, and they got this other dude to do the pitching, be in the pitching staff and everything. But it's nice to be able to stop other teams from scoring. But if you don't put up runs, what's the point, right? If you don't put up points, you can stop them all you want. It's not going to help you. It's not like, in football you can get an interception and run it back for a touchdown. You can't catch a fly ball and then run it in for a run. It's not going to count for anything. So the Diamondbacks training for some offense, and mind you, he hasn't been that great in the last year or two, but definitely a big he was a good all-star in 2013. So definitely something to look forward to for Diamondbacks fans. Now people were asking me, it's like, oh, I saw you talking about baseball now. What's going on, man? Look, I've disliked baseball for so long. Okay, the last time I enjoyed baseball. The last time I thoroughly enjoyed watching baseball and talking about it was when I was a little kid and what's his first name? McGuire. When McGuire and Sosa had that home run race, they were going back and forth. One network would have the Cubs game, and you were watching to see how many homers Sosa hit that night, and the other channel would have the Cardinals game and see how many homers McGuire would have. And it would just be a race at the end of the season. That was also part of the steroid era, which I've always argued you should allow steroids in baseball. Can you imagine if dudes started smacking homers out of the park again? Everybody would love to watch that. Okay? Hey, look, don't kid yourself. Nobody wants to watch a pitching battle. Nobody wants to be like, oh, is he gonna throw the ball past him? It's really hard to hit a 95 mile an hour fastball. It's hard to do. That's why those guys get paid a lot of money, because it's really hard to do, and those guys that can do it are great. But it's not fun to watch a guy strike a bunch of people out. That's not fun for anybody. I mean, look, maybe it's fun for some people, and I would say that the people that are the baseball history buffs love it. But I can't stand it. It's like, oh yeah, swing and a miss, that's awesome, cool. Oh, he's out, oh, that's cool. That means our guy's going to go up next. All right, cool. So then our guy, your team goes up to bat. Swing and a miss. Oh man. Okay, all right, strike one. Oh, strike two. Okay, he's out. Damn it. What's going on? You know what I mean? So why am I giving baseball another shot? Because the game is changing. And I'm hoping under this Manfred guy as a commissioner Now, maybe don't, look, I would love for them to legalize steroids. I'd be 100% behind that. But they need to make some changes. Maybe have less games. Make every game mean more. I mean, look, they play the first half of the season, and everyone kind of just, they just kind of half it. They don't put in a lot, a full effort until after the All-Star game, because that's when you start figuring out who's going to actually be a factor in the postseason. So then after the All-Star game, everyone starts going all out. So the first half of the season is boring. There's no point. Second half of the season, still not much more entertaining. So I'm giving it another shot. I'm definitely going to be following the Diamondbacks. I've been told to watch the Dodgers and the Cubs as well. So definitely those are two other teams that I'm going to be watching. This just in. Governor Mike Huckabee tweeted out, "I am officially suspending my campaign. Thank you for all your loyal support. Hashtag I'm with Huck." Mike, I hate to break it to you, man. You had zero chance to begin with. You might be the one person. Look, if we wanted to put in rankings of who's the most insane person running for president, Mike Huckabee was number one. For easily number one. Most insane person on there. So, of course, no one ever has ever been, surprised that guy's not going to win. I'm glad he's off. Ugh, that guy's psycho. Anyway, so everyone knows Duke, Mike Krzyzewski and all them. Duke has been known for excellence. They've been winning titles, probably too. There's no way. I mean, Kentucky went on a crazy run, ended up losing, and then Duke wins the title? Kind of nuts, but they're not ranked anymore. This first time out of the top 25 since the 07-08 season. And, of course, people on Twitter going off like, oh, Duke's nothing. Mike Krzyzewski's overrated. No. This happens in college basketball. Especially with this whole one-and-done thing. Where guys can play. Look, the rule is you got to be out of high school for 1 year, or I think 19 years old in order to I think it's just out of high school for 1 year, or have at least 1 year of college in order to enter the NBA draft, which I've highly disagreed with that rule for so long. Look at the list of guys we got straight out of high school. Amari Stoudemire. Aside from the knee injuries, of course, but Amari Stoudemire, Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant came straight out of high school. LeBron James straight out of high school. But it's hard to keep a program, at the highest rankings when you have one and done guys. Mike Krzyzewski has to continuously teach young guys and freshmen and all that how to play basketball at a high level and still try to compete and win against other teams that don't really have to do that very much. Hell, Kentucky's not awful, but they're not as good as they usually are this year either. A lot of the top teams that are traditionally really good teams and programs, they're not the best this year. It's really weird, but it happens. And the next year or two, Duke's going to be back on top. It's not a problem. People are going to be like, oh, we were running about Mike Krzyzewski. Yeah, okay. Relax, people. They're going to be fine. All right, I got to take a very short break here. Going to be back. We got a packed MMA segment. We'll talk about UFC Newark. Sage Northcutt, poor kid, but we'll talk about Sage Northcutt, Josh Barnett versus Ben Rothwell, and of course, Johnson versus Bader. We'll be back here in just a couple minutes. This is Breaking Law with Eddie Law, only on Spreaker app and Spreaker.com. All right, welcome back to Breaking the Law with Eddie Law on the Spreaker app and Spreaker.com. Last segment of the show, of course, as I always try to leave the MMA segment to the end, and I know some of my MMA friends don't like that very much. I'm going to have to find a way to mix this whole thing up so that we get a little bit of MMA here and there on the show and everything, keep everyone interested, I guess. But last segment of the show, if you want to put your input on what's going on in MMA, hit me up on Twitter at elaw31. I read all the tweets straight out. Give you a shout out if you like. On the chat on Spreaker app and Spreaker.com, and on the BTL phone line 602-903-3906. So let's start with the light stuff first, actually. Let's go heavy. Earlier this morning, Benson Henderson beat everyone to the punch and announced on his website that he has signed with Bellator MMA, and obviously will be leaving the UFC, or he's gone from the UFC. Now a Bellator MMA fighter. He put out this whole this whole statement. And I'm going to try and pull it up here so I could read you some of it. But look, this is a good thing. A lot of people were like, oh, I'm upset that he's gone. And yeah, it sucks when we see him in the UFC with the highest talent. But this honestly is the best thing that could have happened to MMA fighters. So he says this. This is from smoothbensonhenderson.com on his blog. The blog post is called The Move. He says this, quote, I'd like to officially announce my move to Bellator MMA. I'm beyond excited for this next phase of my career. It's a big move, like any move when switching employers or jobs, having worked somewhere for such a long time. I have to thank the big man upstairs for putting some amazing people in my life, my wife, first and foremost, and a lot of truly smart and insightful people behind the scenes who helped make the connections and negotiate this deal to bring it to fruition. I'd be remiss to not thank Dana White, Lorenzo Fertitta, for the opportunities they've presented me. You guys have helped me change my life for the better and be able to provide for my family with the things I didn't have while growing up. For that, I'll always have the utmost appreciation. Thanks for all the advice you guys gave too, both business-wise and personal. And then he goes on and thanks a lot of people behind the scenes in the UFC, which actually is a really cool thing for him to do. A lot of these people by name. A lot of them. Then he says, to my fans, thanks for all the love and support. I'll keep giving you my all, opening up my heart and soul inside that cage. I'm excited for the next chapter and building new relationships with guys I've heard nothing but great things about, like Scott Coker, Rich Cho, and Mike Kogan. Hashtag the once and future king, Benson Henderson. So there's a couple sentiments that I've seen, at least on social media and from people I know. And it's, one half is like, oh, great, oh, yeah, it sucks. Or no, oh, it sucks. We lost a guy that just split decisions all the time and just bores everybody. I mean, yeah, there's one way you can see it. But the UFC also lost a high level lightweight. And I mean, think about it now. He's going to go into Bellator. Look, I'm hoping to see Benson Henderson as Will Brooks. That would be a legit scrap. That would be such a sick fight. Because I think Will Brooks would make Benson Henderson stand with him. And that would be fun for everybody. But this is good for MMA fighters in general. First, Benson leaves. And he actually, I believe I read in an interview that he basically said that one of the biggest reasons he's gone is because of the Reebok deal. Now he can go back and get as many sponsors as he wants to. He can go back to have the regular shorts with a bunch of sponsors. He has so much more flexibility now. Him coming out and saying that is a big, big deal. Huge deal. So first, Phil Davis goes to Bellator. Now Benson Henderson. Josh Thompson, he's just going to go there because he got cut from here. Or he wasn't re-signed by the UFC anyway. But now MMA free agents, or these upcoming MMA free agents, see that there's real choices out there. Now this is good for the UFC as well. They got the antitrust, monopoly lawsuit. It's like, do we really have a monopoly? Guys are going wherever they want to. The competition is getting better. So you kind of hope that this starts maybe not like an exodus of UFC fighters going to Bellator and World Series fighting, but at least, Bellator slowing down on the garbage, with signing old UFC guys to headline cards. Mike Jarvis in the chat says, I didn't even hear about this. What's this talk about Bellator not wanting to sign ugly female fighters? I didn't even hear about that. But they got this gorgeous ass girl. What is her name? Oh, I forgot her name. They had this beautiful blonde girl that supposedly turned the UFC down and signed with Bellator instead. I didn't really read why. I didn't really care. I was too busy looking at her picture. She's beautiful. But Bellator just kind of using marketing in that aspect. If they want beautiful female fighters, that's part of marketing. It really is. I mean, a lot of people support Miesha Tate. Some of it's because she can fight. The other bit, the end of it because she's a good-looking girl. Paige Van Zandt had a lot of hype behind her. Turns out she's got all heart, no skill, or very little skill, but she's gorgeous. So a lot of people were like, "Yeah, go Paige. Yeah, I'm gonna keep tweeting her. I love you, Paige. Even though you lost, you're so awesome. I'm a huge fan. Maybe one day you'll look at my Twitter and be like, that's the guy for me." I love seeing that on Twitter, by the way. I laugh at that a little bit. It's okay to dream. It's good to dream. You should always dream. It's probably not going to happen, but it's good to dream. Anyway, so Bellator now signing Benson Henderson. It's good. And I'm hoping they find a way to attract young talent that goes, you know what? You could actually be somebody in Bellator. Now they have some names. I mean, imagine if you're a welterweight or a lightweight fighter. You go into Bellator, you end up fighting Benson Henderson, a guy that's been a champion in the UFC, that's beaten big name guys. If you find a way to beat him, all of a sudden you're a pretty big name, and you can get yourself up there and start getting paid and everything. So this is good for everybody. So I mean, I for one support Benson Henderson. Hey man, do your thing. Go get that money. Forget Reebok. Go get the sponsors you want to, and definitely start just dominating that lightweight division. And again, Benson Henderson against Will Brooks, it will be a legit scrap. That would be an awesome fight to watch. I hope that's the first fight they make. I really do. Let's talk about UFC Newark. Went down this last Saturday. Run down the card real quick on prelims. These are all prelims right here. Tony Martin gets a rear naked choke on Felipe Oliveri, which actually I didn't expect whatsoever. There's a majority draw. I haven't seen one of these in a minute. Now, Damon Jackson is Levin Makashvili. There's a majority draw. Randy Brown gets a decision over Matt Dwyer. The last guy, Randy Brown was actually Dana White found him on his show, on his looking for a fight show, and his looking for a fight show, and the last guy was Sage Northcutt, and Sage Northcutt came up with a bang, right? And Randy Brown comes up with decisions. So, yay show, yay Dana White show. After that, Bruce Leroy, Alex Harris gets a decision win over Masio Fon, which doesn't at all impress me whatsoever, but whatever. Alexander Yakovlev knocks George Sullivan out hard. Wilson Hayes gets a decision win over Dustin Ortiz. Rafael Natal TKOs Kevin Casey, which I fully expected. Carlos Diego Ferreira, decision over Olivier Aubin-Mercier, which I think is an upset in my opinion. Tarek Safdie against Jake Ellenberger actually is kind of a snoozer, not gonna lie. And then Hype Train derailed, arguably the upset of the night. Brian Barberena, a triangle choke Sage Northcutt. Now, if you watch the fight, that choke was not really in. It looked like Sage might have panicked a little bit, tapped early. He got a lot of grief online from fighters, not even from fans. He got it from fighters. He got just a crazy amount of just shade and craziness. Like fighters saying, "Oh, for 40-40, I'll tap quick too." People were really still upset about his contract, how much he gets paid. But Sage made a really good point not so long ago, saying that he says, "What do you bring to the table?" And Sage is marketable. As much as people don't like it, Sage is marketable. But and today Sage Northcutt coming out saying that he had strep throat. He had to go to he was on antibiotics. Had to go to the emergency room a few days before the fight. To a lot of people, that sounds like excuses. Like the kids that came out and fought. He looked pretty damn good up until he got choked out, or pretend choked out. But a lot of people are like, "Oh, Hype Train derailed." Look, the Hype Train is definitely derailed. Now we know exactly what he is. He's a guy with a lot of skill, but the heart still has to be developed. Some people are just born with heart, and they're born to be tough and everything. But a lot of people, look, maybe it's just my opinion, but in order to develop heart and character, you need to go through the you need to go through the ups and downs of life, right? You need to face adversity like no other. You need to face adversity over and over and over and over and over again. By the time you get to where you want to be, you're able to, people will be like, oh, he's got heart. He's a tough guy. He's got heart and all that. Sage doesn't seem like he ever had a problem in his life. Super happy all the time. So, it doesn't seem like he ever faced adversity. So now this is his first real sign of adversity. At least, especially as far as his MMA career goes. But he's only 19 years old. He's still a kid. Now, a couple things. Sage, if you're listening, which you're not, but if you are, but somehow this gets to you, for sure get your dad out of your professional life. For sure get rid of that guy. I mean, okay. To have him at TriStar and then pull him out was dumb. And then for sure go to a camp full time. I recommend Jackson Winklejohn and TriStar. I recommend both of those places for sure. Recommend both. And then decide. Do you want to do fighting full time or you want to do it part time? And then realize that you're going to get the results of how much time you put in. So and then the other thing too that came out, Sage Northcutt might have fractured his foot, so he's going to be out a minute. So. He's got plenty of time to go to the drawing board and figure out what he wants to do. The problem with him is I don't think he's going to be able to get rid of his dad. Because I think his dad makes his decisions for him. So it's going to suck. All right. And the next fight, Jimmy Rivera gets a decision win over Yuri Alcantara. A lot of people were like booing the fight. I mean, it wasn't the most exciting fight. But I thought Jimmy Rivera fought it perfectly and won that one. And then the co-main event, this to me was the biggest upset of the night. Ben Rothwell tapped Josh Barnett. Now a lot of people were like, oh, why was it upset? Because... look, had Ben Rothwell knocked out Josh Barnett, I'd have been like, okay, that makes sense. But he tapped Josh Barnett with a go-go. It was beautiful. Josh Barnett was disgusted with himself afterwards, so you could tell. A jiu-jitsu guy, a wrestler, a ground guy, gets tapped. So, and by the way, Barnett came out and said already that he's not going to retire yet. He still wants to fight. So, hey, yeah, good for him. But Ben Rothwell, you gotta start thinking. He's already been belly aching for his title shot. He gets a win against Josh Barnett. He's got an argument now for sure. And the main event, it was just sad. Anthony Johnson Rumble just hammers Ryan Bader. Ryan Bader went for that takedown with everything he had and just couldn't do it. Anthony Johnson sprawls, gets on top, pins him down with one hand and starts landing hammers. Ends up knocking Ryan Bader out on the ground. So Ryan Bader's hype train, or whatever you want to call it, his winning streak is over. Anthony Johnson basically makes another case for a title shot, which sucks for him because he's going to have to wait quite a while. I mean, if he wants to wait, they probably, if they give him another fight, I don't see anybody that could really beat him. But, Rumble is a crazy dude. He's just, he's unstoppable. He's a scary guy, for sure, scary guy. And the last thing I want to talk about here before we, wow, people are really hating Republicans right now on Twitter. The last thing I want to talk about here on the MMA segment, on the show really, is we saw pictures of Joseph Benavidez and Lance Palmer with in Colorado with Team Elevation, or Elevation Fight Team. Benavidez coming out saying that he's still part of Team Alpha Male, even though he's training part-time in Colorado. Yeah, Mike. Oh, he really did say that. Okay, so Mike on the chat, Mike drops in the chat saying Rumble said he was broken when they touched gloves. You could always tell from a fighter's demeanor as they get in the cage. Whether it's over for them. He didn't look that bad to me, but now that I think about it, maybe he did. Maybe he was broken after they touched gloves. Look, it's hard to get in the cage with someone like Rumble and keep your stuff together. It's you're getting in there with a monster. A guy, legitimate monster that's just made other guys look silly. Like, how are you not gonna, how are you so different? It's, I don't know. It sucks for Bader. It really does. That dude had and now what do you do? If you're Ryan Bader, what do you do? Once again, you're right there. A title shot is within your grasp and you lose. Not only that, you lose by knockout. The most convincing way you could possibly lose. You know, and it sucks. So he's got to start over. So a lot of people are calling him for him to move down to middleweight. I think it'd be okay. I'd be okay with that. Him moving down to middleweight. I think it'd be a much harder cut. I mean, think about it. He's got to walk around at 220, maybe more. So he cuts down to 205. Can you imagine having to cut down, another 20 pounds? He's gonna have to lose some kind of body mass at that point. Maybe take his leg off or something. Lose a leg. He could just put it back on later. I don't know. Who knows? But a lot of people are like, oh, maybe bring him down to middleweight. If Ryan Bader went down to middleweight and he could actually perform well, that would be a scary thing to see. A lot of people don't give Ryan Bader, a lot of credit. I do. I think he's great. He's not the best. He's not going to be a title, a guy that's going to win title. But at least not at light heavyweight. But I think maybe at middleweight he can make some noise if he can make that cut safely and effectively. So Ryan Bader released a message to his fans on Facebook saying, quote, "Well, fight obviously didn't go as planned. Took a stupid shot, ended up paying for it. It is what it is. You keep playing it over in your head, but it doesn't change the outcome. Worst part is the feeling the feeling of not fighting your potential. I just need to make fighting fun again. Congrats to AJ. That being said, I have a beautiful family, great friends, and amazing fans that have stuck by me no matter what. So nothing to be down about. Love you guys." End quote. He's right. Nothing to be down about, but that's not going to stop a guy as competitive as he is from feeling really crappy about that fight. All right, look ahead here to, I believe, this weekend's card. Formerly, you know what I'm calling it? I'm calling this one the card formerly known as UFC 196. It is now UFC Fight Night Hendricks vs. Thompson from Las Vegas, Nevada. Obviously headlined by the welterweights, number 2 Johnny Hendricks against number 8 Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. It's gonna be a legit scrap right there. So check us out. The Fight Pass prelims are 2 fights on the Fight Pass prelims. It's Artem Lubov, also known as Conor McGregor's buddy, against Alex the Spartan White. Then in the FS1 prelims is Noad Lahat against Diego Rivas. Ray Borg, everyone was watching Ray Borg, against Justin Scoggins, who's a scrappy dude. Ray Borg against Justin Scoggins is going to be legit. You do not want to miss that fight. I think it's going to be, that has potential for fight of the night, I think. And that's an early fight too. Derek Lewis against Damian Grabowski. Then Josh Bergman against KJ Nunes. I don't dislike Bergman, but this has got to be it. This has to be it for that dude. And the FS1, but all these are the FS1 prelims and the FS1 main card, obviously FS1 for free. Again, this just says the UFC knows Johnny Hendricks cannot hold up a pay-per-view card. Hendricks against Thompson is not going to hold up a pay-per-view card. So they did the right thing, which is honestly shocked the hell out of me. And they made it a free card in FS1, which is great for us because then we don't have to pay for it. So now that it's a free card, it's actually pretty damn stacked. The main card, Mike Pyle against Sean Spencer. Misha Cirkunov against Alex Nicholson. Another guy with the Spartan as his nickname. And here's where the fights get a little more fun. Joseph Benavidez against Zach Makovsky. Ovin St. Preux against Rafael Cavalcante. The co-main is Roy Nelson against Jerry Rosholt. And the main event, Hendricks versus Thompson. That's this weekend on Saturday night on FS1. Fight Pass prelims begin at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. FS1 prelims, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And the main card, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be, look, it's free card. And because it's a free card, it even got better now. All right. Shout out to everybody that I did another Spartan Super 9-mile 29 obstacle race on Saturday. Shout out to everyone's well wishes for that. I appreciate it. I finished it in 3 hours and 8 minutes. No major injuries, so I feel really good about that. All right, I got to try and work out a little bit of a schedule here with the show, so check this out. The schedule is going to be this. It's going to be Breaking the Law with Eddie Law is going to go live Monday nights, Wednesday nights, and Friday nights. So 3 times a week you get this show. That way they're packed as much as possible. I'm going to try and go for an hour to an hour and a half. So now everyone knows. Yeah, Mike, I'm working on that, man. I gotta go through a bunch of video. Unfortunately, the battery died out like a mile and a half where I was done. But I got plenty of video to throw on there, so I'm gonna edit it out this week. Hopefully, have it up by the weekend, and I'll put that out for everybody, so you can see how I did, I guess. All right, it's gonna do it for me tonight. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you, Mike, for tuning in and hitting me up on the chat. Everybody, have a good night. See you guys in the next one. Peace.